Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Four Quarter Talk podcast. After a long while away, I'm back with Josh Mazoki, my co-host. Say what's up, bro?
What's up, man? It's been a minute. It felt weird hearing you even say the name of the pod. Like,
Yeah,
it's
man.
been a while. Lots happened.
I even had to check the name of the pod to
I
make sure I got
forgot.
it right, man. But we're back, and a lot has happened since we've been gone. Obviously, we're in a whole nother lockdown now that we took about a 2-month break. And, to be fair to us, life's just got in the way. We've been busy with uni and all that, but there's really no excuse for 2 months out. But we're back now. And a lot has happened in the NBA since we last spoke, Josh.
A lot has happened. I mean, we're gonna try to get, from when we first took our break, but obviously we want to get closer to what's going on right now. So we'll do our best. Obviously, we'll cover a little bit of the finals, but we've got a lot to get through.
Well, let's start with the finals. Obviously, that was about a month ago now, I think. Obviously, the Los Angeles Lakers taking home their first title in about 10 years since Kobe Bryant. And they did it in style. Obviously, they had to go for a tough, well-drilled Miami team, but eventually the superstars of LeBron James, Anthony Davis got the job done. And in 6 games, nonetheless, I've got to say huge respect, first of all, to Jimmy Butler. He's always been my favorite NBA player, but he's solidified himself as, I think he's top 5, but obviously that's a lot of my bias coming into it. But definitely top 10. He went toe-to-toe with the 2 biggest superstars in the league, really.
Yep.
And the Lakers, I think everyone tipped them at the start to be champions, and they prevailed, and LeBron gets his 4th title, and he's edging ever closer to that elusive 6, obviously that Jordan one. And do you think if he gets number 6 in his career, he'll be the undisputed GOAT, or do you think that he's still got some more to do?
He will never be the undisputed GOAT. He can win the next, he can win 5 in a row. he'll never be the undisputed GOAT. I think Michael Jordan captured people's hearts at a time where there was not really. He did it in such a style that it sank with a whole generation of people, and I mean, none of us were alive during his playing career.
Yeah.
Oh, the very end, we were born, but it's at a point where for the people that witnessed it, that's cemented for them.
Yeah.
And then for us, it's kind of like a legend.
Unless you're like Shannon Sharp or,
Yeah. For us, it's like a myth. I mean,
we
can look at it too.
Describe it.
We can look at it. Okay, we can look at this argument in two ways. We can look at it completely objectively in terms of just what they've accomplished, or we can look at it. Are you asking? Because I try to look at it pretty objectively. I'm not someone that I feel like he has a chance, objectively, to prove that he's that he had a better career. Whatever. Yeah. I mean, you can never prove you're a better player because they don't play against each other. But are we talking about in terms of?
I think career.
Everyone's opinion. Are we talking about him being considered the undisputed or him actually being?
I mean, him actually being him, they're kind of the same thing. It's all down to personal opinion, isn't it? So,
exactly.
I mean, at the end of the day, everyone's always going to have a different opinion. This is one of the most toxic debates in any sport.
Exactly.
But I think if LeBron can win another title with this Lakers team, then it will obviously start to turn a lot of people's heads. But then maybe Jordan might have to bring out another documentary and turn.
He brought it out too early.
Should have dropped it on the day they won the championship.
For real, because it is interesting.
Well, that was all like a massive propaganda scheme, wasn't it? To
100%.
Kind of
especially
remind people what Jordan did. And remind our generation, especially because we weren't there. Obviously, we know about it, but a lot of people didn't. So it was just a massive propaganda machine, really, that documentary. But it was very good. So, no complaints. No complaints.
No complaints at all. It's a difficult conversation because it depends what you value in different, in terms of. Obviously, you can look at that finals record, but then you can look at whether you value more. Doing a lot in a small amount of time or the longevity of his career. Because obviously LeBron, I think this title made him the oldest Finals MVP ever.
Yeah.
So you can look at it that way in terms of him being able to have quite a long prime, probably the longest prime, to still be in 17th year and be the best player in the league, which he's earned that respect. I mean, yeah, he asked for his damn respect, so you got to give it to him. Because you said everyone thought they were going to win, but I'm not going to lie. Like, obviously, did we both pick the Clippers?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we both. I mean, I said they'd be upset early by the Rockets, which now looks horrible. Like, but I'll take my Heat W. I'll take my Heat W. But yeah.
Wait, you didn't say the Heat. You said the Celtics in the finals. I swear.
No.
Yeah, you did. I swear you did. You did. I swear you said the Celtics in the finals.
We'll go back.
I'm pretty sure if I go back, it's you have the Celtics, I have the Heat. I'm pretty certain.
You didn't have the. Oh
no, do you know what it was?
You changed your mind. You changed your mind.
You changed my mind, and then I had the Heat beating the Celtics in the conference finals. That's what I had.
Okay, we'll stick with that. I can actually check because I bookmarked. But yeah, all right. Yeah, we'll get back to that. But anyway.
Yeah, the Heat.
I'll take my Heat W with them upsetting the Bucks in the first place because I got you. That
was a big W. That was a big W. I'll give you that
because that was actually detailed. The Rockets one was kind of just like me trying to be funny, but the Heat one I actually
that was some Westbrook bias as well from you. You just
the Heat one I actually had like some. I actually had some analysis behind that.
Because like they beat them in the regular season and stuff like that.
Yeah, and just
and they put the same scheme on them and it worked again. And it was almost like the Bucks should have adapted. But I think we've spoken about this anyway.
Yeah, we know about Budenholzer not adapting.
I just want to talk about the Heat.
I saw something on Twitter. Yeah, go ahead.
Not the most talented roster by any means. They had a 20-year-old rookie starting at their shooting guard in the finals. They had Duncan Robinson, who went to like a D3 college. Their superstar was homeless and got picked 30th in the NBA draft, and him and Jay Crowder were both they both played at JUCO level before, not even junior before college, going to market. Yeah. So not the most talented roster by any means, but they just out hustled everyone they came up against and fought through all adversities and. Obviously, they had that Heat grind that's instilled into that franchise through Pat Riley and through Eric Spoelstra, and I think that combination of players and that ethos was a perfect marriage. And it meant that
you had the injuries as well.
To the finals. Yeah.
They had the injuries.
Goran Dragic went down. Did Kelly Olynyk go down, or did he get suspended?
I don't even think they were playing him anyway.
I thought they were in the playoffs. Maybe in the first couple of rounds. I thought
he was kind of out of the rotation for a minute, but I mean he could have contributed.
Sorry, they lost Bam as well. Yeah, they lost Bam.
Yeah, Bam.
Yeah,
they lost their leading scorer, and Bam had been quite important in the series before.
I still think about that block. Oh my days! Do you know that block in who was it against? The Bucks.
Tatum. Yeah.
Oh no, it was Tatum. It was Tatum. Oh, that block to win that game.
He actually, I think one of his injuries was that wrist.
Yeah.
Going back to the block, because I was gonna say like, if I did that block, because that he cut back for that dunk, my whole every bone on my
and it didn't even look like it fazed him.
Nah, that caught up with him later. Like the adrenaline, he just took that.
But then I thought when Bam came back, he wasn't really up to speed. I didn't think he was that great in the finals when he came back. But I think he probably was. He probably was rushed back. Yeah.
Yeah, they both forced each other back in. Especially, I was shook when I saw Goran Dragic come back. I was like, yo, he's in pain. Like,
you could tell as well he was not 100%. But then he was so vital for them in their run to the finals. He was that. When
he was their leading scorer.
Yeah, exactly. He was their leading scorer, and he was taking a lot of big time shots in the fourth as well. So he was such a vital part of that team. So him going down was bad for them. But Jimmy was able to force a game 6, kind of not single handedly, but his effort led to that charge. And the minutes he was playing, there's obviously that meme now of him on the advertising boards, just dead tired. Like he was playing like 48-minute games, just. Didn't take a possession off. I've got to respect my guy, man. He stepped up big time. And even me, I'm a massive fan. I didn't even know he could do that. I'm gonna be real. I didn't even know he could do that. I mean, I saw glimpses of that in Chicago when I remember vividly one of like the games that got me like very interested in basketball. He dropped a 50 piece and hit the game winner. It was on those Nets teams that were rubbish, but I remember, he's always been a clutch time player, and he did it again in the playoffs on the biggest stage. So respect to Jimmy, man.
Yeah. No, it's funny how times change. I mean, just a couple of years ago when Paul George was on OKC, and seemingly Paul George just separated himself from Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
And then just looking at the juxtaposition of where they are now.
Yeah. You never miss a chance to slander Paul George, do you? Never miss a chance.
Of course not. Of course not.
Anytime there's opportunity, you take it, man.
I told you I haven't retired the slander yet.
Leave the guy alone, man. I saw you just got married or something, so congratulations to Paul George. I'm going to take a different road. I don't hate Paul George. He's good on 2K as well, so. But we've gone from praising Jimmy Butler. We're going to go to a bit more of a sadder note. Klay Thompson has obviously just gone down with that Achilles injury to his other leg, which has been confirmed by Woj that he will miss the next season after missing all of last season as well. That's tragic, isn't it, Josh?
Yeah, it's hard to see. Like, he's such a likable player.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
And he just puts in the work. He just comes. He does
his role to perfection.
Yes, and people don't really understand like how vital he is to like the dynasty that they had. Like
for sure.
He was just reliable as a defender. Like he would take all of those big matchups. He'd guard the best point guard, the best shooting guard, the best small forward.
Yeah.
And there are just defining moments in that run that the Warriors had that. I know more than anyone as an OKC fan. Like that game 6, I thought we'd won. I thought we had that. And when he went off in that game,
torch, man.
Like, we didn't need a game 7. That night, I went to bed. I was like, yeah, we've lost it.
We've lost. Yeah, because that was your chance, and he took that away from you. And
he had he had a few game 6s. In fact, I think he went off in a game 6, against the Rockets, I think, and then he went off last year against the Raptors as well, right before his first injury.
Yeah.
So it's just hard to see someone that just comes to work, is ready to go. There's no drama with him.
Never.
Just a competitor. Yeah. And to have worked like so hard for a year to come back and then just to have this crazy, it's insane.
And I think every NBA fan had missed that Curry and Klay backcourt, and we were all looking forward to seeing that back. Them just reign and freeze on any team they want.
This was about to be a chance to see like the fun ball they play without them like overly dominating, just like the fun of it. Because I enjoyed watching them in their 73-9 season. That was enjoyable to watch. It was when they got KD that it got a bit like over the at that point. But now before, they
were playing an exciting brand of basketball.
Beautiful to watch.
Yeah, for sure. Watch, the ball movement, the long threes, it's we were hoping to see that, but
Yeah, in terms of like the effects of this, obviously that's going to be a setback for the Warriors, who are scrambling right now to try and put together a squad that could be respectful next season.
Well, they just picked up Kelly Oubre, didn't they? They
from
you guys for was it just a first round?
A protective first round. That's likely going to be two second round picks. Yeah. So I mean,
but it's like as soon as Sam Presti sees a pick, he's just like he loses all.
You saw that Drew Holiday do, and he was like, "Yo, I'm taking this personally." Like, we're fully rebuilding. There's no question about that.
Yeah,
now.
For sure.
But you
had your little fun in the playoffs last season, but now I think it's rebuild time for you lot.
Now, long term for Klay though. Obviously, with a shot like that, like without any athleticism, you're gonna last you're gonna have a 20-year career.
Yeah.
You just are. But
JJ Redick, Kyle Korver type beat.
Yeah. I don't know about the two-way player that he is.
Yeah, it's just he's gonna lose a bit of that defense probably, and it's a shame that it's happened to his other leg. He's had a major injury in both legs now.
Yeah.
That's
2 years from his prime taken away.
And from a financial standpoint, the Warriors are just giving him that bump of 5-year contract, and now 2 years out of that contract, you haven't been able to play him a minute on the floor. It's terrible for them as well. It's terrible for everyone, really. I saw LeBron was saying his condolences. To
Yeah,
Klay
before it
Thompson.
had even been announced that it was
Yeah,
like
it
that
was the
serious, you could
rumors.
kind of tell. You
Yeah,
could kind of tell because I'm sure a lot of those players at LeBron, they know about the run, so they know like
yeah,
they must have seen like how bad it would have been. So yeah, when you see lower leg, when it's specified it as lower,
yeah.
that's when you start to get a bit scary. Achilles, like
Achilles. Yeah,
it's not great.
and it's
It's not
one
great.
of the worst things you can do, isn't it? Your Achilles. It's not great, but wishing Klay Thompson a speedy recovery.
Oh, yo, I'm just looking. I looked at that last video. You're the one that said the Celtics would be in the finals.
Are you?
Yeah, bro.
Did I actually say that?
Yeah, man.
All right, well, that's getting edited out. Whoa, I was dead set that I put the Heat in the finals.
Don't even back your boy. Wow, that's mad.
Yeah, but that okay. Jimmy, just know that never happened, and this is not going in the final edit. Yeah, but prayers up to Klay, man. We're gonna have to see what the Warriors. What's the move for the Warriors now this season? Do they still go for the playoffs? Or do they?
Oh yeah, they have to. They can't tank. Like last season, they kind of got forced into the tank
Yeah.
with Curry's injury, but nah, they need to be somewhat. They need to make some moves to at least
Yeah.
be in a good position for this year. There can't be another lost season, especially they moved into their new arena.
Yeah.
They're hoping to have fans because they're the one team that are trying to put together a program to still have fans. I think at like 50% capacity. So they kind of need to be respectable. They can't have 2 lost years. Yeah, I don't know what they do to actually contend. But that's going to be difficult. I mean,
yeah. Well, I think if they still are Klay in the picture, they would have been in quite a good position to contend because we've seen what that big three can do, and who says they couldn't do it again? But
the problem with them is that their team is very young and they don't have a lot of depth. So it's not quite just Warriors before KD because they sacrifice a lot of depth to get KD.
They had a very good bench in that 73 and 9.
Yeah, their motto was strength in numbers, so that was a big part of them being able to win. It puts a lot of pressure on Steph, of course.
Oh, for sure.
And I don't know about relying on a lot of young players.
And obviously they've just picked up James Wiseman in the draft.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on and what responsibilities he's going to have on his shoulders. Because if they are dead set on making a run at the title, then he's going to have to step up big time, and he might not be ready for that.
Yeah, they're relying on young players like their draft pick last year. Actually, was he even a draft pick or was he undrafted? Anyway, Eric Pascal last year. They've got quite a few young players. Yeah. So, it'll be interesting to see.
And it'll also be interesting to see what Draymond Green they get back as well, because obviously last season he was.
I think a big part of his impact is being able to work within that spacing. So
and he's a player that will make great players greater.
Yeah, you kind of need both, though. I feel not just Steph, not just Klay. You kind of need both because remembering like last season, they did have a couple games at the start without with Steph healthy, and it wasn't looking great.
Yeah.
But I think Steph was playing pretty bad as well. Though he was like shooting like 20% from 3 or something like that. It was quite bad.
Yeah, well, he was out the whole season, so you can't really.
Yeah, it was just a couple games.
It was just a couple games. But that will definitely be a team to keep an eye out on. Another team I really want to keep an eye on this next season is the Phoenix Suns, who have obviously just picked up Chris Paul. And a reason I'm so excited about this trade is because it will take quite a lot of the playmaking responsibilities out of the hands of Devin Booker. So, now Chris Paul will have the keys to that role. Obviously, he's a massive figure. He's the leader of the MBPA, so he's obviously a leadership figure. And this is a young roster, so hopefully he can bed some experience into them. And I'm looking at the Suns to make a good playoff run this season.
Yeah, I feel like this is a type of move that they needed to make because
they were desperate for a point guard.
Yeah, I mean Ricky
Yeah,
Rubio
Rubio,
he
but
was doing a decent amount, and obviously it would have been interesting to see how good of a season they could have had if DeAndre Ayton wasn't suspended at the start. Uh, that was obviously a setback. Obviously they had the success at the start of the bubble, going 8-0. I
yeah,
don't want to put too much into that. I feel like it's good that they decided to still be active and
yeah,
proactive in trying to make sure that they can build on it. Because as much as 8-0, that's great. With context, a few of those games, there was games where I think when they played us, we had uh, most of our team were out for that game. So they were playing a few teams that had already cemented their playoff positioning. So obviously 8-0 is great, but you want to be realistic about it as
yeah,
well. So Chris Paul can definitely raise the ceiling of this team.
sure,
The West is stacked though, like on a
for sure.
different. Obviously now we have the Warriors kind of going down a little bit, but still, I feel like this will be a tougher year than last year. Uh, I mean, there's no reason why they can't be in the same position we were.
Hmm.
But it's not a given that
Yeah,
they'll
because I
be.
don't think you guys will be in that position anymore.
Oh no, not at
Definitely
all.
won't.
But there are a lot of teams that are that look to be better.
Yeah,
Because looking at, I mean, who would fall out?
you guys.
Us, potentially the Rockets.
Yeah,
We'll see
depending on
how
what
that
happens. But
goes.
I personally think Harden and Westbrook will at least start the season with the Rockets. I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
yeah. They're taking their time with that for sure.
I'm not, because obviously they're both on crazy contracts.
Long-term deals, yeah.
Yeah. Who else? Do you think the Grizzlies will be back in that picture?
Yeah, but I mean, they're on that same tier with the Suns. Really, I'd say maybe the Suns are a bit
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
So because with Chris Paul, obviously, if Chris Paul can replicate what he did this year, I think he can raise the ceiling of DeAndre Ayton.
For sure.
Get him towards, he was showing flashes last year. Towards the end of last year, he can start getting maybe even into all-star territory.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got 3 players playing at that high level, so they can definitely, they can get themselves into that 6 to 8 range, maybe a bit higher.
And Chris Paul obviously showed that he's nowhere near finished with that playoff run with you guys last season.
Yeah.
So he should be a big help to especially Ayton. And he'll hopefully create more space for Devin Booker as well. So I'm looking for Ayton and Booker to have massive seasons for the Suns next season, and Chris Paul I think will enable that. So I am looking at them to make a push towards that 8th, maybe 7th seed. But obviously, as you said, the West is absolutely stacked. Talking of the West, we have another big trade in the West. We got Robert Covington going to the Portland Trailblazers, and I think this is the perfect move for the Trailblazers.
It's definitely under the radar.
It's definitely under the radar.
It was a big move that kind of just got pushed underneath there. I feel like the Rockets got finessed on that one, to be honest.
Oh, for sure. I think the Trailblazers have needed quality wings for a long time.
He's perfect for the team.
For sure. Like they've always had that guard tandem.
Needs.
Everyone knows about Lillard and McCollum, but it's only so far they can take you, and having a third, reliable shooter, great defender, will only improve this team. And they traded Covington for Ariza, and two first round picks, but I think that's a more than good value trade for them.
Because with Covington, he's a player that I thought before the Rockets even got him, I was thinking that the Warriors would try to use some of their assets to acquire him, because he's a perfect role player for that type of to have alongside like 2 guards, because he's versatile defensively, and during that small ball Rockets experiment, he was able to show a lot of versatility in terms of playing several positions as well. So
and he held his own in all the positions. So,
yeah, so he definitely complements that team.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm looking at the Trailblazers to, they just about made it into playoffs last year, obviously through the play-in. But I'm looking for them to secure a spot in the because they looked a lot better once they had Nurkic back. and now that they'll have Nurkic,
With a
hopefully
full healthy season, yeah.
full healthy season, he'll be a big bonus to that team as well. So
We're
I'm
looking
looking for them
for that
to
third.
cement themselves
Yeah,
in
we're
the
looking.
playoffs.
A lot of people are looking for them to get that third player. You know, there was rumors about Blake Griffin if he was healthy, about Kevin Love. I feel like this is an even better option because it's not as expensive. You don't have to commit as much, and he does what you need. He does enough of what you need. You don't need scoring.
Yeah.
They have no problem scoring. Like
They have enough
they're a high
scoring,
scoring team, but he gives a lot of what they need without like too much financial responsibility.
And he's not going to take shots away from Lillard or McCollum at all.
The fit is perfect.
So that's a perfect fit there. Let's talk about your team quickly. The Thunder.
Let's talk about our team.
You obviously had the unlikely playoff run last season. No one really tipped you to get that far, but you've kind of blown out the roster, to say the least. You obviously traded Chris Paul to the Suns, as we alluded to earlier. In that trade,
I'm very happy with
Abdel Nader, massive loss that as well. And in return,
I actually liked him a lot.
You got Kelly Oubre Jr., Ricky Rubio, Ty Jerome, Jalen LeCue, and a 2022 first-round pick. Obviously, since Kelly Oubre Jr. and Ricky Rubio have been moved on, Ricky Rubio going back to the Timberwolves and Kelly Oubre going to the Warriors, as we said. What's the ambitions for this franchise going into the season? What's the plan? What's the goal? Is it have you officially hit the reset button, or do the keys go into Lou Dort's hands and you make another run to the finals?
Yeah, a lot of the moves that have been made. So obviously starting off with the Chris Paul move, I was pretty happy with that. When we first acquired him, I mean, just looking at how much we got for Westbrook, kind of just showed like the value that he had at the time, coming off a disappointing season, injury riddled season. Looked like he was diminishing, starting to show his age. So a lot of the chatter was, I mean, when we first acquired him, everyone was saying, he's not going to play a single game for the Thunder. We're going to try to get rid of him right away. But obviously Presti, seeing that his value wasn't too high, I mean, we were trying to make negotiations with the Heat to try to get some of their young players, like Tyler Hero, or before they quite cemented themselves. And it was clear that his trade value just wasn't there with how he was looking and his contract. So to get to the point where we're actually getting assets for him a year later, I mean, this was the best time to go off it. I mean, with a shortened season, you never really know how durable he will be. A year older. So, I'm happy with what we got from him, even though we did make further moves. And, I mean, any given moment, I don't know what we got from him because it seems to keep changing. But, we're not in the same position we were in last year. And part of the reasoning behind that seems to be that this upcoming draft for these upcoming 2 years looks to be a lot more promising.
This one,
like actual franchise-changing type talents. And much deeper. So it looks like we're trying to position ourselves into a point where we have as many assets as possible for these two upcoming drafts.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're set up at the back end with a lot of picks throughout the last half of this decade. But we're definitely rebuilding. Rebuilding.
Well, you guys have obviously also just picked up Al Horford and Josh Richardson. What do you expect to do with those two assets? Do you expect them to get flipped for more picks, or do you think they'll stay?
I'm not sure. I feel like at one point I thought that we'd be looking. Well, Josh Richardson, I expect him to get flipped. With Al Horford, I thought it'd kind of be like another resurgence type project that we had with Chris Paul, where they tried to get his value up a little bit more and trade him later in the season. It seems like we will trade him soon because quite a few of the trades that we've made, we've acquired centers. So there's no way we can go into the season with that many centers. I think we have like 3, 4, 5 centers now. So Presti is probably the busiest GM in the whole league right now. He's making a lot of moves. I don't even be looking at our alerts that much too much. there were a few welcome posts and things like that for players, and then the next day they're gone. So it's kind of like, I don't even think we ended up making one for him. I think they knew they were going to get rid of him right away. But yeah, we had the Kelly Olynyk, people. We got like, I mean, the Thunder.
This is the thing. I didn't even know you had Kelly Olynyk. I didn't even.
Oh no, not Kelly Olynyk. Sorry, Kelly Oubre.
Oh, okay. I was going to say.
Nah, it's because you said Kelly Olynyk earlier.
Yeah.
Kelly Oubre. I mean, the Thunder account gained like 1 million female followers and then lost them the next day. Like, yeah, it's wild. I mean, I'm at the point where I'm not even.
You can't get too attached to a player, can
you? I'm not looking at what our roster is apart.
Yeah.
The only players that I see, like, that I'd put my money down on being on a roster on opening night are Shea, Baisley, and Lou Dort. Those are the only 3 players.
Yeah.
So apart from that, I mean,
doesn't really scream to you playoff.
Adams is probably somewhere in like some farm in New Zealand, like, not even knowing what's going on.
Probably doesn't even have Wi-Fi on, just chilling.
Probably doesn't even know.
He's gonna come back to Oklahoma, just see like thousands of new faces. Like, where did everyone go?
He said he doesn't keep up with free agency, and he literally found out about KD like at training camp. He said he just shows up to training camp and whoever's there is there, So
I can respect that. To be fair, he just stays out of the loop, does his thing. Yeah. But I think it's safe to say you won't repeat the successes you had of last season.
There's no incentive to, though, because like I said, the West is so stacked right now that this is the perfect year to tank.
Yeah, for sure.
This is the perfect year to be bad.
And you got picks on picks on picks. So
exactly,
your ethos is clearly set on the draft, and your goal is clearly set on the draft. So
having all these picks puts us in a unique situation where we have our own pick that we can do whatever with based on our record, but then we also have, because we have these other picks, we can use them to trade for other assets, or we can afford to take risks in the draft. Because I mean, this year. I mean, I didn't know too much about the draft prospects anyway, outside of the top 3 to 5. But we took like Poku, who I have no idea about. I don't know anything about that, but he looks like one of those more risky prospects that normally teams would be scared to choose. But because of the unique situation we're in, I mean, we've got picks to waste really, like where we can afford to just go fully on, because we're in that rebuilding situation where there's not too much pressure on it.
You might as well have drafted Sheck West.
Now, I saw that. I kept seeing like comments about that. I was confused, and then I saw like the next day, like, oh, what? Yeah.
Wait, I don't know if it was actually true. I just kept on seeing it.
Yeah, he released like a song the next day about it. So I'm not sure if it was just like promotion for that, but I think he did. I think he did officially declare for the draft, but literally anyone can. Anyone that's like 4 years removed from high school, whatever. I mean, anyone that's a year removed from high school can declare. So it's not.
Really?
Yeah, it's not.
Might start
might
might get picked up by one of these. You might. You said there's Dakin risky picks. Why can't you? Could be one of the risky picks.
Yeah, but I'll probably end up on. I won't even end up in Oklahoma though, will I?
Yeah.
With the way the trades are going.
you look for a house in Oklahoma, you just get traded to like the London Lines or something.
Yeah, honestly, if your name isn't Shea, Baisley, or Dort, I'd say get an apartment.
Yeah, get an apartment or even a hotel.
Yeah, I'd say get that hotel.
Let's talk about some more trades. There's obviously the Bucks picked up Drew Holiday for Eric Bledsoe and George Hill, and a bunch of picks and stuff. I'm personally a big fan of this trade. I think he's a similar style player to Bledsoe, but just better at kind of everything. So this makes sense for the Bucks. It makes sense for the Pelicans because they get tons of picks. I like this trade both ways, really.
I've got mixed opinions on it.
Okay.
Obviously, he's
a complimentary player.
Yeah.
Very that's a great fit.
He is coming into the last year of his contract, though, isn't he?
Yeah, it's quite risky. It's very risky, and especially with the news of Bogdanovic, which we'll go over. right after. It puts them in a situation where, those picks can be very, very valuable.
Yeah.
And that, I don't know. I feel like you could have got, I don't know if you had to give up that much, because that was a similar deal to the Anthony Davis or even Paul George deal, because that's, what's it, like 5 years worth of like draft compensation, whether it pick swaps or just outright picks. And I don't even think they put protections on the first rounders either. So it's quite a risky move to make, especially with the expiring contract. So obviously, if Giannis signs the extension as soon as he's eligible, then who cares? But it's quite risky, especially now with the controversy about Bogdanovic.
Yeah.
Puts that at risk. So yeah, well, I'm not sure.
Well, take us through that Bogdanovic situation, because I'm not too clued up on it. I just know something went wrong at the last minute. And
yeah. So originally, they made a sign and trade deal for Bogdanovic from the Kings. They acquired. They sent off Dante DiVincenzo, Ersan Ilyasova, and DJ Wilson. And obviously at the time it was great. But the thing with sign and trades, obviously, because it involves the signing, the player has to agree.
okay.
And the player agreeing implies that they made a free agency decision, whereas free agency starts today. And obviously, if you make a free agency decision a week before free agency, that's tampering. So they're in a situation right now where, the league has conducted an investigation into the tampering, and many people thought that, because the original report I saw was that Bogdanovic fell through because Bogdanovic didn't agree. But a lot of people were speculating that he had agreed, but they're just trying to, hide the fact that there's tampering, and that he'll just end up signing there anyway in in a couple of days.
Yeah.
But I think another deal was made where they waived one of the players that were involved in the deal, or one of the players that was involved in the deal isn't on the Bucks anymore. So it'd be impossible to redo that deal. So what puts into
player was it?
Let me see.
I think it might have been Ilyasova.
Yeah. I think Ilyasova was waived.
Yeah.
So that kind of puts the whole deal in jeopardy. And see, that would be scary for me as a Bucks fan.
Yeah.
With that's the kind of deal that would clinch Giannis. So if you're gonna lose that, and if that's gonna fall through, that puts you like they're kind of scrambling now.
Yeah, I don't know. I do like DiVincenzo though. I'm a big fan of his game.
Yeah, of course, but
I guess
to appease Giannis, you need players that are win now.
Yeah,
win now mode. And if I'm Giannis, I'm not signing. If I'm Giannis, I want to put pressure on them to make the moves to make us, contend properly. And I don't want them to be stagnant. I don't want them to feel comfortable. Obviously, if you have that relationship where you trust that they're going to make those moves regardless, then fair enough. But they've just had 2 years of, being the most dominant team in the regular season, and then that doesn't carry over. So.
I think that's when you say he doesn't want them to be comfortable. I think that's been part of their downfall, them being too comfortable.
Exactly.
They thought the regular season success would just translate straight into playoff success, and obviously
because as we going back to the Heat, they just didn't adjust, and a lot of people were saying because in a few of these trades they gave up, especially in that Jrue Holiday trade, they gave up quite a few players. And in the sign and trade originally, and they were saying that the Bucks are trying to get rid of all their players so that Coach Bud has to play his starters in the playoffs.
There's not going to be anyone left.
There's no one left. There's no choice but to play them 40 minutes.
Yeah.
But
that was really weird. I still don't know why he didn't do that.
It was ridiculous to me. It was confusing. But yeah, no, I do like the Jrue Holiday. I like the prospect of not having to rely on
Chris Middleton to be that, that closer or to be, you
or
want to
for
play
other offense other than Giannis.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. Because in that closing time offense, you need a playmaker, like a pure playmaker.
Yeah.
Like Drew Holiday, who's comfortable in that situation, and that's why a lot of people were saying that it'd be a good idea for them to get Chris Paul.
Yeah.
But obviously, Drew Holiday is probably better because you're not committed to him for as long, and he's a lot younger. And in a way, Drew Holiday being on an expiring contract or a short contract is a good thing because it means they have the flexibility. Because going into next season, I think next offseason has a really promising free agency class as well. So that gives them. It's got loads of superstars, but it's also quite a deep class as well. So you can get a lot of complementary players. So you can replace Drew Holiday if he is to leave. So, in that sense, I like the trade. I feel like the two trades together are a lot stronger than like just the Drew Holiday trade.
Yeah.
In terms of being able to keep Giannis, because it reminds me of the season after Westbrook's MVP season when they acquired Paul George and Melo. I feel like acquiring Melo, whilst in hindsight didn't look great, the fact that it put the confidence in Westbrook in the organization to sign long term meant that it was worth it in the end.
Yeah.
But you want to make that type of move that gives Giannis the confidence that the mindset of the franchise is to win. Yeah,
because a lot of times signings it's deeper than just what you see on the court. It can create belief behind the scenes, and that's what this trade could do for Bucks fans. But I don't know.
None of it matters if Coach Bud runs the same offense again. But he
almost holds all the keys to Giannis' decision, really. Because if Giannis sees the same thing next year, then he's not going to sign. So Budenholzer has to change as much as the roster does.
Yeah, I feel like the reason he's so safe though is I think Giannis likes him a lot and trusts him a lot. Because I was just Adrian Wojnarowski released it was like a 3-part podcast type series where it was about Giannis's draft.
Yeah.
And I was listening to it over the last day, and it was quite interesting. It was going over, the process of him coming over from Greece and all of that. And the team that he was most connected to wasn't even the Bucks, it was the Atlanta Hawks, but he didn't fall to them. And a big part of that process was when Coach Bud was a coach with them as well. So they have that relationship established already. Because remember, when I think he had Jason Kidd coaching him, didn't he, before? Mm-hmm. And he wasn't happy about him being fired, but he was a lot happier when he saw that it was Coach Bud. So, relationships was going a lot into this situation as well.
But that obviously could have been damaged since he saw them falling short.
Yeah, you saw a little bit of cracks. Like I remember the press conference when he gave that when they talk about some of the game plans decisions that were made, and he'd be like, ask Coach Bud, when it was like why he's not guarding Jimmy Butler, he'd say ask Coach Bud why he's not doing this. So maybe the trust isn't there. I don't know.
Only time will tell. The Sixers have picked up Seth Curry.
The Sixers have done a lot, to be fair.
They've done a lot.
They've done
Danny Green. They picked up.
They picked up Danny Green.
They got shooters.
They got rid of Al Horford, which was a terrible fit.
Yeah, it was a terrible fit.
Daryl Morey has just really done a lot to erase the mistakes that were made in the prior offseason.
Yeah.
The offseason last year. So he's done a good job so far to put him in a good
and obviously,
position.
Daryl Morey's in his new job, so he's being very proactive. And trying to stamp his authority on the franchise, I guess.
This is his style. He's made the most trades in his career. He's made the most trades amongst all the other GMs during that time period by far. So that's what he does. He's busy. He makes moves. He has a vision, and he just goes for it right away.
Yeah. And it's only going to benefit the Sixers having more and more shooters, because obviously their two superstars are like to be, kind of occupy similar areas. So having more shooters to space the floor is gonna help them. That's obviously if they keep both players.
Yeah,
with
and
how the NBA is, they could be gone tomorrow, they could be gone in the next hour. But if they stay, I think those are two good signings.
But yeah, and that goes into, when we talk about the Rockets and their situation, about how it seems like there's things lining up for them to try acquire James Harden, which would be interesting. But it does look like they are trying to maximize the two young talent that they have right now, and see where they can go with that first. They're at least giving that a chance now.
Well, they've been giving it a chance for a while, haven't they? And it's clear to a lot of people it hasn't really worked out so far. But
it's been interesting though, because obviously, from my memory, I think there was Joel Embiid's rookie season, which was really like his third season, right before Ben Simmons drafted, and obviously, he's playing with a bunch of players that, they were like winning like 15 games a year. Then obviously Ben Simmons comes. That first season they win 50 games with each other. They lose to a Celtics team that I think took.
The Cavs.
They took the Cavs to 7 games. So
yeah.
I mean that's not bad. Then the following year, where they lose the eventual champs by Kawhi's 4 bounce jump shot. So which I mean, you never know. Looking at who they faced afterwards, I mean they could have very well won in the end anyway, with the injuries that happened to the Warriors. So, last year...
That's a good point.
And then, obviously, you've got last year where, Ben Simmons got injured before the playoffs even started. So, there's context that goes in it. Obviously, they're not a perfect fit in terms of the way they play, in terms of, Ben being reluctant to shoot at all. And, Joel Embiid not being the best shooter. Obviously, he's decent for his position, but he's still not a good three-point shooter. I'm not really sure what they can do together. The supporting cast has gone into it a bit as well.
It depends. Depends really what's their definition of success. And with the talent you would assume from outside looking in that it has to be a championship. But
everything that could go wrong just has with injury, with like that. The last offseason was a disaster. I mean, at the start, it looked like everyone was saying, "Oh, deepest team in the league. Look how big they are," but didn't really go well. I mean, they definitely have to regret choosing Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler and not re-signing JJ Redick. Like those definitely hurt them.
Yeah, definitely. But they'll be hoping that maybe not. I don't think they'll be able to replace Jimmy Butler, but hopefully one of Seth Curry or Danny Green come in and fill that JJ Redick role.
Those are great acquisitions, because as bad as Danny Green has been, he definitely does have the potential to be as good as he was. Raptors. Tough on him though, going from LA fans and LA media to Philly fans and Philly media, like that.
Can't catch a break, man. You can't catch a break. Because I feel like in Toronto they're a bit more like laid back
and San Antonio as well.
Yeah.
So he's been thrusted into it's two of the most toxic fan bases.
It's going to be a big test on his mental character more than anything, really. See if he can handle that 2 years in a row, because maybe that was a big reason he was missing all those shots in the playoffs, because of the media pressure.
Exactly. I mean,
and
that was without fans,
stuff, wasn't he?
And that was without fans in attendance. Like Philly, like boo their team like every other game.
Yeah.
But acquiring Seth Curry though, that's a big one. That was a win-win trade for both sides. But that's really good for the For the
and
76ers
Seth Curry really impressed me in the bubble and in the playoffs.
He built off the year before. He was really good with the Trailblazers.
I mean, you can't really get a more dependable shooter in the league, really. I mean, he's got the
I think he's at
highest
the best
percentage of all time, doesn't he? So if you need a shooter, there's not many better people you can go to for that than Steph Curry. Maybe his
Yeah,
big brother, but
Yeah, Daryl Morey is just kind of like simultaneously got rid of the biggest weaknesses of their team and addressed the weaknesses of their team as well with shooting and playmaking. So yeah, they've definitely put in a good situation. I don't know how. I think as well as Ben Simmons and Embiid may be able to do together, I feel like even if they win a championship, I don't think they can be the best version of themselves together. Maybe they can still win with each other, not being the best version of themselves. But I'm not sure with Ben Simmons not having a shot, and even if he gets a shot, I feel like he'll just kind of be in the same position as Giannis right now, where he still can't create his shot, so it's a lot easier to defend him. I'm just not sure if point guard is his long-term position. Really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be interesting to see.
It
But
will be
I'm sure they don't want to give them up. So,
all right, the last trade we're going to talk about. This is another big one, and it's another one that involves your franchise. Dennis Schroeder to the LA Lakers for Danny Green and a first-round pick. How do you feel about this trade, Josh?
Initially, I hated it.
Yeah.
Like I was like, we can get a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
We can get more. Seeing how it's kind of changing every day, and we're getting a lot of picks out of it, and just seeing the context of it. I mean, he's on an expiring contract as well. Like unlikely to re-sign. We don't want to win next year, and he doesn't want to be somewhere where he's not winning. So I think get rid of him at their highest point, and get assets, because unless they're super young, talent with great potential, there's not much value to us. Because even with Kelly Oubre, as he's fairly young, but I mean he's not that young. He's not on our timetable. He's not on that Shea Baszley timetable. So no, I feel like we could have got a bit more, but no, I'm happy with it overall. And also, it helps a team that is a threat to the team, to the Clippers, who we have a lot of their draft capital for the next few years. So it's in our best interest for them to be bad. So yeah, it hits two areas at the same time.
Well, I think when you look at that trade on paper, from a perspective of just a normal NBA fan, I'm not a Thunder fan. I think that you did get finessed on paper, but then when you see what you've turned it into Al Horford and a few more picks. It's you slowly start to see the vision. You slowly start to see that it was quite a good trade for a 27, 28-year-old Dennis Schroeder who might not want to even play for your franchise next season because you're not going to be competing. So,
and he's never going to be. I mean, maybe I don't know if he's going to have as good of a season as he had this year. I mean, he might get Sixth Man of the Year just simply because he doesn't play for OKC. He plays for LA now.
LA exposure, yeah.
But I still don't know how Montrezl Harrell.
That's the only reason he got it, isn't it? It's the LA exposure.
It's just ridiculous, honestly.
Yeah, but from a Lakers point of view, this is an ideal signing, really.
Great trade.
Great signing.
It didn't look like they were going to retain Rondo. It looks like he's trying to capitalize on a lot of the players on the Lakers are trying to capitalize on their value from winning a championship. But
Avery Bradley as well.
Yeah, he didn't even go to the bubble, so I'm sure. Yeah, but a lot that's what seems to happen. Normally it happens after. Normally teams will try to repeat with the same team, run it back. Because you'll see teams like the Cavs when they won, Dellavedova and Mozgov got their deals, but it was like a season or two after. But yeah, now they're just trying to capitalize on this money whilst it's there. The Lakers just waived Quinn Cook as well. So they're definitely looking at, this West, how tough it is, how tough the league as a whole is looking with a lot of injured teams coming back healthy. You got the Nets coming back. So they're not being stagnant. They're not taking it for granted. They're thinking we need to get better to win.
To progress,
Because, at the end of the day, I definitely value this championship. I don't understand people that are, making these excuses, saying, it's the bubble and all of that. All the teams are in the same position. but it will just objectively be harder to win next year.
For sure.
So they can't be stagnant.
Mm-hmm. And I think, do you think Schroeder will come in and start for the Lakers, or do you think he'll fill that 6-man role?
I feel like the 6-man role just fits him better.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
I feel like he's just of that Lou Will type mold where it'll fit him better. You can just go with
LeBron point guard,
staying point guard for the rest of his career. Really,
yeah.
He can transition because I feel like starting with towards the late rounds of the playoffs, I think they are trying to shift towards Anthony Davis being the main scorer.
Mm-hmm.
And carrying it even more so than he did now this past season. So I think you can mix and match it, kind of like how the Thunder did with him. They'll probably try to acquire. I think they'll try to keep KCP to have him in the backcourt with him.
Well, he proved his worth to that franchise in the playoffs. He really stepped up.
Yeah, he came alive. Alive. So.
And he was one that was subject to that LA pressure, and he kind of thrived. It looked like.
Yeah, but we do have to remember, with as much moves have been made, a lot of trades and all of that. Officially, free agency is only just starting now, so there are a lot of moves to be made as well still. Yeah. And being a championship team and being any team with LeBron, you're gonna have those role players wanting to come and join him. Maybe even on discounted contracts like last year. So it won't be a hard role to fill, like to fill Danny Green's role.
Shoes, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Well, talking of free agency, I wanted to just quickly mention Gordon Hayward and how he just fumbled $34 million.
$34 million, man. Who is his agent?
I don't know.
Who is his agent?
So if you didn't know, he opted out of his player option for the next season with the Celtics and will now become a free agent for this season. Apparently the Knicks are targeting him, but there's no way they're paying him $34 million. That's what I'll tell you now.
Is there not?
No. I mean, the Knicks.
Let me just say this. Yeah. The last time a Celtics player opted out of, a big contract with seemingly little value, and it was confusing to me, they ended up getting overpaid by another team in Al Horford. So, you never really know. I feel like you kind of have to have some sort of knowledge that other teams are interested. I'm not sure, because I think I heard a couple rumblings about, him being unhappy with his role, which apparently he felt betrayed by the Celtics, which I don't understand at all, because it seems like he was being, prioritized above other players who just played better than him, because they were kind of trying to force him. That had a lot to do with Kyrie gets a lot of the blame, but in that season it looked like a lot of those locker room issues came from players feeling like Gordon Hayward was just kind of forced in without really proving that he is better than Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown or whatever. Obviously, there is the possibility that his deal is just being, restructured to be more long-term, to get more security, whether that be back with the Celtics or with another team. But I'm sure teams must have given him an indication that they're ready to give him some sort of long-term security.
Well, you would have thought so, but
because also this is a type of year where a player could get a 1 year big deal, because teams are trying to have an expiring contract going into next summer with better free agents available. True. But then there'd have to be some team offering something crazy, because then why not just stay with the Celtics?
Yeah.
That's a really confusing one. I don't know how to make sense of it.
Yeah. Well, as you said, he must have got an assurance from somewhere else or from his agent that he could have, maybe he is looking out for his long-term future. Maybe he's looking for one last, long-term contract, because he is aging. And he's obviously had signs of injury. Yeah.
Being injury prone, because he's had, a lot of these players that have had, terrible injuries have seemed to, be a lot more injury prone since. yeah, you've got DeMarcus Cousins now. You know,
Yeah.
Klay Thompson looks like he might be of that mode as well going forward.
And they're
The only
all
one
around
I
the
can
same age as well.
Yeah, the only one I can think of is, even though Paul George seems to keep having, you know, his shoulder injuries, like since he broke his leg, he's had no lower body type injuries. So it's been all right that way. But yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. He definitely has some sort of assurance. I'd be really surprised if he didn't. Either that or agent's going to get fired pretty soon. Because
we might see it tomorrow that he ends up on the Knicks on a $30 million 1-year deal contract.
I mean, the Knicks are trying to get everyone on some big deal. I've heard.
The Knicks don't need any more forwards, though, surely. They've got forwards on forwards on forwards. They need some guards.
They just drafted a forward as well.
I know, Obi Toppin.
Yeah.
I saw Stephen A's little rant about that.
I feel like Stephen A. That one.
No, he was happy with the player, but he was just unhappy that it was another forward. And he said they should have taken like Killian Hayes or Cole Anthony or someone like that.
But I mean, no one cares about Stephen A's opinion on Knicks draft picks after the Porzingis after his rep. Man.
Oh, did you see someone recreate that video with their they draft some Argentinian and the same guy made a same video. Oh, it was so funny. We drafted a soccer player.
It was. Nah, I just remember the Porzingis one so much. Because I remember, do you know Michael Rappaport?
Yeah.
Yeah, when he was like, Tingus Pingus.
Wait, was that Rappaport? I actually didn't know that was him.
Yeah, that was him.
Oh my days, I actually didn't know that was him. Wait, so then it was Rappaport that made this video as well about the Argentinian guy. I actually didn't know it was Rappaport.
Yeah, that was him.
Oh, that's an all-time moment. And the funnier thing as well is that
Stephen A. I think
Porzingis is a really good NBA player.
No. But yeah, the Porzingis one, I think Stephen A's reaction was the one where he was like, "We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run them and flat out deceived."
Yeah, man. It'd be so funny to see how they react if they actually get some success. Because like right now, it's just like anything I've heard about the Knicks is always negative. So it would be funny to see that. But well, we alluded to the draft kind of there, and we'll talk about the draft now. Obviously, the draft was on Thursday night, I believe, and not the most stacked draft by any means. A lot of names I had never heard of personally. Obviously, it was a draft where kind of the top three was set a long time before the draft actually took place, and it ended up going Anthony Edwards to the Timberwolves, James Wiseman to the Golden State Warriors at number 2, and LaMelo Ball to the Charlotte Hornets at 3. Do you like these pickups for these certain teams, Josh?
So let's start with Edwards. Yeah, I thought they'd go for Edwards. He made the most sense. I think for the Timberwolves it was between Edwards and Melo. I think because obviously they already have Cat. The Timberwolves looked very scared to make this pick. It seemed like they were trying to get rid of their pick because they didn't trust themselves. And that's with the I was seeing reports about Melo, about D'Angelo Russell not being very happy to play with Melo because obviously they kind of overlap a little bit. I think with Edwards there's a little less of that overlap. But I think the day before the draft, Edwards was making some crazy, comments,
like doesn't watch basketball and stuff like that.
That football's his first love, and if he got drafted to the NFL, he'd quit basketball right away. So yeah, that's interesting.
That is scary.
That's an interesting quote to make.
That is not what Timberwolves fans
not what you want to
hear.
hear. Because I know damn well if you don't even know what team you're on and you're saying that. When you live in Minnesota, you need to love basketball if you're gonna live in Minnesota. You need to love basketball. You need to love basketball if you're gonna live there in a winter sport. In a winter league, you need to love that. You need to love that sport.
Didn't he say something like? He said something like, "Oh, but I'm not gonna be playing outside, so it's fine." That's what he said about living in Minnesota.
Yeah. I mean,
seems like a funny character.
I did see later on in that article, he did say something about, he loves basketball and all that. So it was kind of like a,
they kind of grabbed that quote and went with it. But
Yeah,
he I mean, it worked out from the end. He got first pick, but yeah, he needs to not talk as much in that type of situation, like because he was risking fumbling the bag for real. I mean, he said I think I remember at one of his draft workouts, he was asked about how it's been adjusting to the pandemic, and he was like, he said something real corny. He was like, he's like, I've been living my whole life been shit like I've been playing in the pandemic anyway, some shit like that.
Yeah.
But he's funny, man. He's funny. He's a funny guy. But he's a bowler. He's a natural scorer.
Oh, yeah.
He's got the physical tools to be a defender. So, but I don't know if he really he's not a defender right now. So, I mean, it wouldn't have worked. I think having Melo because there's too much uncertainty. I think you can just kind of plug Edwards and just go for it because I think the Timberwolves are looking at entering the playoffs. They're at that point. They're at that stage. D'Lo and Cat hadn't played with each other yet, so they're just ready to go and have that scoring.
Yeah,
he looks NBA ready. He's already got the build. He's already he's a big guy. Like I think he's something like 6'4", 6'5", 230. So he's got his NBA body already. So he just looks like he's ready to go.
Do you expect them to make a playoff run? Or push towards the playoff?
So hard. It's so hard. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm happy that of all years, this is the year we're tanking because there's going to be a lot of playoff. There's going to be a lot of playoff level teams not in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting this year because I think they're expanding the play-in tournament. They're having, I think, like several games in it to have. It looked quite complicated, but it was like seeds like 7 through like 9 or 10 maybe, all playing each other. So, they definitely could possibly squeeze into the playoffs, but there's just a lot of teams on that tier. But yeah, they need to look towards doing that soon if they're going to keep Cat happy.
Yeah. Well, at number 2, we had James Wiseman to the Warriors. Do you think this pick would have changed if they'd known about the Clay situation before the draft?
It seemed like they did know the Clay situation kind of, and I think hearing from them, they said that they thought about it for a second, but then at the end of the day, like they need to make a pick that that lasts well long term. They were feeling a need in not having a center. This seemed to be like a no-brainer type move. There were quite a few smoke screens. Like I was hearing, it might have made more sense to trade it.
Yeah, I heard that trade with the Bulls, obviously for
that would have been horrible for you.
Yeah, man,
terrible. That
would have been terrible. I'm glad we didn't do that. But at the same time, there's question marks over who we did pick. But we'll get to that.
Yeah. So with that pick, obviously, if it's an, I don't know if I say a need, maybe more of a need now that they're not as deep and now that they're not as dominant. They kind of need to focus on having each position being as good because before you have KD, who cares, like just put in JaVale, put in whoever it is at center and it doesn't matter. But now kind of matters more, and he'll be the best pick that they've had during their run.
Well, you'd hope so.
Yeah,
you'd hope so if you're drafting him at 2.
He can at least be a rim runner and catch blocks. I mean, he didn't play.
I mean, he doesn't really have much to live up to, like Kevin Looney or JaVale McGee. It's like,
I think, there's only upside of him because there's no pressure really. There's not much pressure.
Yeah.
In that situation,
and it's a pick they kind of had to get right though, I think, because you need someone who's going to help you this year, and you also need someone who's going to help you in the future. I think this is a good pick for that, because obviously they need someone at the center spot, but then also when Curry and Clay and Draymond eventually move on, they can, if Wiseman works out, they can give him the keys to the franchise. So I think this is a solid pick all round for the future, for now and the future.
Warriors definitely have the type of players that they can both play. You can kind of give them the keys whilst they're still there because Draymond won't last too long, like the way he plays. But Steph and Clay can easily be, they can shoot until they're 40. Like they can play as long as they want to, really.
Yeah.
It was a good pick. There wasn't too with those top 3 players, you couldn't go too wrong. But it definitely made the most sense for them.
And then we have obviously LaMelo Ball, by far the biggest name player in the draft, going third to the Charlotte Hornets. What do you think about this pick? I personally think it might be a situation where LaMelo quickly outgrows the franchise, if you know what I mean. He's a massive name, I think, and I think if the Hornets stagnate for too long, he won't want to stay around there too long.
I see your reasoning behind that, but I think with the path that LaMelo's had since high school, I think he's at the point where he kind of thrives more in those like those more low key spots, because he went obviously Lithuania. That was different. That he was very young at that point, but when he came back to high school at Spire, which was in I think Cleveland, and that was more low key, you know, and then went off to the NBL in New Zealand, or Australia. So I don't feel like that would be too much of an issue. I think it works well for him being in a small market. I think it would have been more of a disaster for him if he felt if the Knicks had picked him up, you know, if they had got a higher pick, that put a lot of pressure on him. But I don't feel like there is too much pressure on him. They've got a decent young core. They've got some decent young players. You know, Devontae Graham, who could have won Most Improved Player. They've got PJ Washington. You know, they've got a couple players that can work with it. Melo's size allows him to, you know, be a bit versatile in the positions that he can play. So, and he'll definitely get enough freedom to, you know, work with. There's not too much pressure out there in Charlotte as well. So, and you know, he's under MJ. I mean, I don't know how involved MJ will be as an owner, but I think maybe he can give him a bit of advice or whatever.
Bit of mentorship, maybe.
Yeah, a little bit. So,
and you can't really ask for a better mentor, MJ. But
it's a good
I do hear what you're saying. I mean, I think there'll be a lot of shots for LaMelo in that team, so that would be good for him. The pressure's off being in a small market as well. But I just think, from the outside looking in, obviously I don't want to sound too judgmental here, but he seems to me like someone who has quite an ego, and I think once the spotlight's on you and you already have this ego, I think it just inflates it. So I don't know. I don't think he'll stick around there for too long, personally. But
I mean, I don't think they have to worry about that too much, because no one ever really like declines their first like contract extension anyway.
Yeah.
So they'll have him for 7 years at least.
You think?
That's not a problem right now. Yeah, even like, you know, Anthony Davis, you know, Karl Anthony Towns, Devin Booker, they all sign there. Because you get too much money not to. Like, there's no point really.
Yeah.
I can't remember a player like maybe Porzingis, but that's the Knicks. So,
but this is the Hornets. They're not much better, bro.
No, but they just have a toxic. There's a difference between being bad and being like a toxically run franchise. Like, they kind of fought, because I remember with Porzingis, like he had like that meeting to just talk about, you know, his future there and things like that, and then they traded him like 5 minutes later. So they obviously already had a trade in mind. Yeah, they traded their best player and their youngest player for cap space, which I've never seen that before. But that's a wild trade, and they didn't even get anyone. So I don't think that'll be too much of an issue. I think the biggest problem with Melo is that he doesn't always seem like as interested. I think he's one of the he's got high upside, but he's got high bust potential as well, because the way he grew up playing, you know, at Chino Hills, you know, it was fast paced. It was kind of like his dad kind of run the whole organization, so he could do whatever he wanted, you know, pulling up from half court or whatever. So he's picked up some bad habits where, you know, cherry picking, things like that. He has the tools to do certain things, but it'll be hard to like break habits. He's getting bigger. He's like 6'8" now, or getting towards that as a guard. So that's promising. But I haven't seen him properly like thrive in an actual system, because obviously I think it might have helped him out if he ended up playing in college, so that he could get a chance to like have a system around him. So this would be the first time where I've seen him really play within like a team, within a frame of like actually having plays and things like that.
Yeah.
His shooting is kind of it doesn't look too good. I think he shot like 25% from three in the NBL, and then he shot like under 40% of raw. So he's a raw player.
Definitely raw. Definitely raw. 100%.
He's a raw player. He's got great instincts though. He's got great playmaking ability. So there's upside there. I think every player in the draft there was a lot of uncertainty with.
Yeah.
So he has the most potential to if it all goes right. So he was kind of a more risky one, where the other ones were a little more stable. But at the end of the day, it wasn't the greatest draft.
Yeah. So I think this is a good pickup for the Hornets, where they get a big name player and a chance to develop him as well. And let's move on to the fourth pick. The fourth pick, a man I had never heard of before he joined my team, Patrick Williams.
Who was a sixth man at college.
Yeah, but Devin Booker was also coming off the bench for Duke.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm not reading too much into that. The only thing I'll say with this, I was watching a King of the Fourth Quarter video, or Kenny.
Yeah, man, the King of the Fourth Quarter, Rusty, like all of these Chicago.
I was watching him, and he raised a very good point. It was you look when your team has a lottery pick. I'm, by the way, I'm a Chicago fan. And when your team has a lottery pick, you look at mock drafts and you see what players are kind of going to fall in the region of where your team's pick lands. And you start to build up an admiration and a connection with that player. So for me, it was Denny Adija. I hope I'm saying that right.
Yeah.
For me, it was him because I'd heard he's NBA ready. I'd heard from Amari Stoudemire, who played with him in Israel, he's going to torch the NBA. So I'm thinking, he's going to fall to us. He's going to be, and we need
him. I heard mixed opinions because I saw Beach Report thing like, is he NBA ready? So it's just mixed.
Yeah, but that's always going to happen with a European player.
Yeah, exactly.
But so I kind of fell in love with him, and then the draft starts to come around, and I'm hearing the name Patrick Williams, and in early mock drafts he was predicted to go somewhere around 11th to 14th, but towards the draft apparently his stock was rising, and I think the Hawks and the Knicks were looking at him, but he falls to us at 4th. And the only problem I have with this, I've heard he's quite a raw athlete and he's a good defender. The only problem I have with this is because his stock was a bit lower. I wish we had, if we wanted him, cool, that's the talent you want. You've identified him. I think you need to work away how you can trade down, get some assets for that pick, and still get your guy. Maybe they did try that, and maybe it didn't work out, and they just picked their guy. But at the same time, that would have been an ideal scenario.
Yeah.
I'm also going to support him until he shows me a reason not to.
I mean, there's no reason not to right now. Yeah. With this trade, I mean, with this pick, as you were saying, they probably should have traded down. Because even if it didn't work, it's kind of a situation where like it's not that big of a, if you missed out on him and then ended up getting one of those other three, of Toppin or whatever, it's not didn't lose too much. But fit wise, it's a bit iffy because I saw another Chicago Bulls YouTuber who was saying that a lot of people were saying that he's not quick enough, or that there are issues with him that will prevent him from being a small forward. And then at that point, if he's a power forward, then you have Lauri Markkanen already. Are you ready to give up on that? The fit wise doesn't work. So it's kind of like in this draft, especially after those top 3 picks, it's kind of a draft where you should just draft for fit, because a lot of the players don't have that high of a ceiling anyway. Because in other drafts, if you're picking in, the draft that had Luka in it, you're just picking the best player there, at whatever pick you're at, because there's so many, high level players. But so it didn't really.
That's why I think Denny Adija would have been a perfect fit, because he's obviously a natural small forward.
It just makes it just makes more sense as a fit.
But
Because now, if you end up having to trade Laurie, then even if Patrick Williams ends up being better than Laurie, like, or the same level as Laurie, like, you might as well have just drafted someone else because you're in the same position.
Well, yeah, I do think obviously Patrick Williams won't come in and start games because I don't think he's ready for that. But if we can give him some rotational minutes at the 4 and at the 3, small forward and power forward, see where he fits best, and just I think we need to take our time with him because he is the youngest American-born player in the draft, just turned 19. So that's an upside with that pick, I guess. He's a long-term project. But just feel him out. That sounds a bit mad. Just bed him in slowly. Don't I think as a Bulls fan, and all Bulls fans need to be patient with this guy. And I think it's kind of it's high risk with the sense that he's the 4th pick, but at the same time, it's a draft where the 4th pick isn't as valuable as other years. So I don't think it's too risky. And this season, I'm not gonna lie, I'm looking for a playoff push. I don't know. I just want to see the Bulls back in the playoffs. It might not happen.
Yeah,
but I think we do have the weapons and the tools to do it. I think we got a new coach. Praise the Lord. Got a new front office as well with Karen Nufgos. I don't know. I can't say his name, but he goes by AK. He's on AK. So I trust him. They've shown me no reason not to trust him. I've got full faith in him for now.
He almost did. I feel like even considering that Warriors trade is enough to like be a bit iffy.
Yeah.
But
that could not have been true. That could have been just speculation.
True. Yeah. It's interesting because if you keep drafting players that kind of overlap positions that you already have, how much do Levine and Kobe White complement each other? How much do Patrick White and Lauri Markkanen complement each other? So it's kind of like it seems like it can get a bit like stagnant. I don't know because same situation that you have with the Cavs, because they've got mine just blanked, but they got their 2 guards who are almost the same.
And Darius Garland.
Yeah, Darius Garland, who are kind of like they're kind of the same. So it'll be interesting to see. It'll definitely be interesting to see, but it's not too as much of a risk as it is. Being high in the draft, it's not going to be that like devastating if it doesn't work out.
Yeah. So looking for the Bulls to have a good season, man. It's been a while since I've seen it, but and also I saw a report that the Bulls are looking to bring in a veteran guard, and if it's not Derrick Rose, I'm gonna riot. Bring him home, man. Bring him home, man. I'll actually buy a Rose jersey if that happens. I really got one, but I'll buy a new one. But yeah, that's.
I just saw a report about Anthony Davis, and that apparently his contract may take time because he's considering the structure of the deal.
Okay.
Obviously, that's not that deep of news or whatever right now for the short term. But it could mean that he's not looking for a long-term deal.
Yeah, maybe not.
That he's looking to, kind of go for those short-term deals that LeBron used to go for that are becoming a lot more popular with high-level players, especially with, LeBron getting older and, you don't know if he's going to play past his current contract. So, yeah, I mean, he might not
You're
be.
Telling me there's a chance.
I'll
see Anthony Davis in a Bulls jersey one day.
Possibly, bro. Possibly.
Hopefully, man.
Well, not now because you got like 3 players at his position now. So
yeah, but he way better than them.
I'm playing.
We can put Anthony Davis at small forward.
Nah, he needs to be playing center.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm sorry, Wendell. I like you, but if Anthony Davis comes through the door, I know who I'd rather have at center.
Oh, okay. The Pacers are looking at trying to get Hayward.
Really?
Yeah, in the signing trade.
So who would go the other way?
No, that's not saying. If they go Oladipo, that would be interesting.
That would be nice.
That'd be that'd be almost be perfect.
What about
'Cause-
TJ Warren maybe?
Nah, they ain't getting him. Hayward, actually, why am I even saying about no? Oladipo is interesting because it looks like he kind of wants to leave, and
Yeah,
it
he
looks
does,
like, and his value isn't as high as it was because of the injury and not playing that well
Yep.
in the bubble. So that's possible because they're kind of in the same situation.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe just a change of scenery for both of them. I feel that they're too high on TJ Warren right now because he's young as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that should be interesting.
Just whatever you do, don't trade TJ Warren to the Heat because there will be fireworks. There'll be beef every day. Okay, I feel like we've done a pretty good job of summarizing everything we've kind of missed out on since we've been away. No, there's obviously going to be a lot more breaking news in the coming days, so we'll try to have an episode out for you next week as well. But yeah, expect us to be back. We're going to try and get back into a more consistent schedule for the podcast.
So, definitely more consistent the last 2 months.
Yeah. There's no way you can really get less consistent than that. So the only way is up. But yeah, appreciate everyone for listening. If you made it this far, which you probably didn't. Yeah, we'll see you next week, hopefully.